Just the girls from A Better Us,
Yeah.
without the men. Sometimes you just need some girl time.
Yeah.
Talk things through.
Yeah.
Especially with the topic we're talking about right now.
Yes.
And that is mom rage.
I'm gonna sit back in my.
I
I've never
think-
had mom rage. Have you?
I think this could be a good conversation, girls.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding us, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Hi there, we're so glad you've joined us for A Better Us. Welcome to our home.
So it's been said that having a child is like getting a tattoo on your face. You had better be committed.
Right. Parenting is one of the most challenging, exhilarating, frustrating, and rewarding things you can do with your life. And if you're a parent, you know it's all worth it.
But to pick up on that frustrating part, there are some days you feel like all you're doing is trying to pick up glitter with a blow dryer. It is just not working. And you can feel the frustration bubbling up inside of you, and you have no idea how to handle it.
And that's exactly what the ladies from A Better Us are talking about in today's Just Us Girls segment.
Yep, it gets pretty real as we revisit some of our less than stellar mom moments, as author and speaker Constance Rhodes gives us practical advice on how to deal with our mom rage. It's a thing.
Also, author and speaker Shaunti Feldhahn shares the importance of and what exactly it means to be all in with your spouse.
All that and more, so stay with us.
Constance, we get this question at Loveology from time to time from moms who are kind of sheepish about it because they don't really want others to know they're feeling some mommy rage. They're like kind of lashing out at their kids. And can you address that? What can you say to that mom who's feeling that way?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is I totally get it. That's actually something I wrestled with when my kids were very young. It was very chaotic time, and I was just not really prepared for all of that kind of chaos. And so I remember going through that and feeling really alone, feeling really scared and not knowing what to do. So yeah. I like to talk about it now so that people know they're not alone.
It's not a thing that's completely abnormal, like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? This is something that happens for some moms.
I think it happens for more moms than we know because it's a very scary thing to admit. But at least 1 out of 9 moms have postpartum depression, which is where it can sometimes flare up, but it can go long after that too. Just anytime you're getting your buttons pushed and there's mass chaos and kids are crying and you're running behind out the door because this happened and that happened, those flare-ups can happen, and it is normal. And it is something, though, that you want to have plans for how to deal with it.
So what can a mom do? Give us some tips.
Okay, so in my own journey, what I kind of learned to do was begin to understand what my trigger points were. So for me, a lot of crying without stopping would be a trigger point for me, or if we were running behind on schedule, that would be a trigger point. And so I think first you kind of got to start checking out what are these things that trigger me to flare up. The second thing I had to do was be aware of how much time I went from initial trigger to blow up, and everybody's different. So for me, this will sound crazy, but it was 10 seconds. So I knew that once I started feeling that rolling around in me, I had about 10 seconds to either remove myself from that situation or I was going to, blow up at my kids. And so I had to learn to pause in that 10-second time, sometimes remove myself if I could, go in a bathroom and close the door, or, reach out to a friend if I needed to and just let them know, hey, I'm feeling this trigger. And then it was super important for me to talk with my husband about it, which I was also uncomfortable, scared, embarrassed to admit, felt really guilty to say, hey, sometimes I'm losing my temper. But it was important for him to know that I was wrestling with that. And then finally, if that's something that really grows into an unmanageable problem, which it didn't for me, but it can, then you got to reach out and ask a counselor for some help, some anger management tools for that.
Yeah, super helpful. And it all begins with understanding those trigger points. What is it that's going to set this off? Realizing how long do I have once it happens, and then being able to do something about it. So helpful. Constance, thanks so much.
You bet.
Well, we're back with just us girls, and I love having these girls around me. I have Kara, Diane, Danielle, just the girls from A Better Us, without the men. And sometimes you just need some girl time.
Yeah,
Talk things through.
Yeah.
Especially with the topic we're talking about right now.
Yes.
And that is mom rage.
I'm going to sit back in my seat.
I've never had mom rage. Have you?
I think this could be a good conversation, girls, because I mean, you don't have to be a mom for longer than, say, I don't know, 3-4 months before you start feeling you're pushed to the extreme a little bit, and sometimes that bubbles up inside.
Yeah, I agree. And you
Okay,
have young
who's
ones,
confessing
right?
first? Who's going first? Confessional.
I think the ones with the younger children should start.
Okay, Kara, that's you. Take it away.
Well, as you guys know, Eric and I have 2 beautiful babies, and we were blessed with them being 20 months apart. So we had 2 under 2 for a few months. And yeah, it's a lot when you are exhausted. And the saying, just sleep when the baby sleeps, does not happen when you have a second baby, unless they are napping together at the same time. And so it's a lot. It can mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally with your spouse be a lot. And I think the more we're open about that, the more other parents are feeling free to be like, okay, yes, I struggle with that as well.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even anger. I find sometimes it's just me being overstimulated. Like I can remember, the young, I have somebody pulling at me here, another kid going, mom, 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 500 times in a row, trying to stir the pot. Like it's just overstimulation, and then you just want to blow. Yes. And so my confession is during the shutdown, the pandemic that we all went through, one of my boys actually did say to me, Mom, now I know why they named you Danielle.
no.
I was yelling a lot more than at that point. So, and that really got to me. But what, speaks louder to them than my yelling voice is actually, it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. So I had a lot of opportunity during those months to actually ask forgiveness. To get back up and to humiliate myself and to humble myself with them. But what I found is that just like our God is forgiving with us and his mercies are new every morning, our kids are the same way. We cannot beat ourselves up. We are not only carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, but the weight of their world on our shoulders.
That's right.
And so it's bound to happen. And so when she was talking about the trigger, like what are my triggers, I got thinking about what are the things that would really make me blow. And now, I don't know if you would identify with this. The day my house gets clean, like when I clean the house top to bottom, and then they come in like a tornado and rip that thing up in 15 seconds. Trigger right there. Or how about these 3 letters? PMS. So I got thinking about that, and then she was saying, like, what kind of plan can you put in place? So I got thinking about me, like for, the house cleaning thing. So that day, how about we go to the library, go to the park, get out of the house, so I'm not going to have those mom explosions that I might, or certain times of the month, let's go have coffee with a friend, and Dad, you get the boys this day. So it was really helpful for me to think about what kind of plan can I set into place for me when I'm not as able to handle my emotions as well as other times, and it's going to help. I know it.
Yeah, well, speaking of men close your ears, PMS, times 4 in my house. 3 girls.
Yes, you're all women.
Right, all girls.
Every
okay?
week of the month.
Okay.
Okay.
And so, and you know, when you're all together in the same
you
house,
sing.
everybody's singing.
Everybody's triggering
Right?
each other.
So
that's when
imagine.
Mike would leave the house and go on vacation.
My goodness, trigger. Okay.
That's why Mike plays football. He needs to hit somebody.
And having girls, you know, my girls, they used to just go at it all the time, right? With girls, you know, they're, oh, you took my lipstick, or you took my makeup, or you took this or that. And oh, when you start hearing all the screaming and the yelling, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna scream. Stop! You just explode, and then you have to calm down, because when you're triggered, and they see that, and then they get worse.
Yes.
Right? So you have to kind of keep that calmness about you somehow, because if you're calm, then it calms them down. So that was something that I had to learn. If I keep myself, you know, at a certain level, then I know that they wouldn't go to a 10 on me. So.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but being on time and trying to attend events with babies definitely is a trigger for us. You just get everything packed up, and then one of the baby poops, and then you have to rechange a diaper, and then the next one does, and then you and your spouse, like, in my opinion anyways, we would just fight because we're both trying to leave, make this time schedule, and it's not working out, and then you're in the car just so hot because you've like lifted all of these things to the car that you needed to bring, and then you're like in the car now on the verge of a massive fight because you're just so upset, and then you get to wherever you are, like nothing happens. Like, hi guys, we're so happy we could be here.
So what are ways, I mean, I'm thinking now,
I'm just wondering how many of those times were coming to my house. That's what I'm thinking about. We don't have to talk about that.
I'm just saying, because, you know, the moms, the women really set the tone for in the home, I feel like. And so, yes, we're going through these things, and yes, there are going to be moments, but maybe what are ways that we could set the tone? So one thing that I do is, if I'm feeling it, I want to put on some kind of relaxing music or worship music or something in the house that can just kind of ground me and shift my mental space. And then that will translate to the rest of them, to the kids as well.
And you know what? Don't beat yourself up if you're feeling this. Because there's the famous Susanna Wesley. She was the mother of John Wesley and Charles Wesley. They were famous preachers, Methodist preachers in the 1700s. Susanna Wesley had 19 kids.
Wow.
19 kids.
Bless her.
And the story goes that when she would feel overwhelmed, her family knew if she sat in a chair, pulled her apron up over her head, that meant mommy needs some alone time.
Alone time.
Mommy
And that's
needs
the only
me time.
place she could
And
find it.
that's the only place she could go, was to have her apron up. And so, you know what? If you're having that apron moment, it's okay. Take a step. Sometimes mommies need a time out too.
That's right.
You take a step away and you just give yourself that breathing space. I know we had one strong-willed child of our 3. And he's married to her. And Eric was my youngest, and he was a strong-willed, and I apologized more to Eric than I did to any of them, because I just would lose my temper more because of the just clashing. He, you know, strong-willed. Well, there's this one particular night. The kids were young. I think Eric may have been 8, Adam was 11, Andrea was 14, something like that. Ron had been out of town for a couple of weeks, and I was writing for a devotional that I shared on Huntley Street every day called Sincerely Yours. So I was writing them throughout the day and night, and then recording them in the mornings live on television, which was totally out of my comfort zone, but God, that's another story. So anyway, it was after supper one night, I'm alone with the kids, and it hit me, I've got to record an extra one tomorrow because there's a holiday coming up and we're not going to be live. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. And so I said, the boys, just get to bed. Get yourself in bed. I don't have time. I've got to go in the office and I've got to write, because these things took me hours to write. My alarm's going off at 6 a.m. And so I'm down there trying to write, and in comes Eric. Mommy, he did this to me. I said, just go to bed. I'm writing some more. Adam, 11. Mommy, Eric won't do this. And just go to bed. Finally, after like the 4th or 5th interruption, I lost it. It was not one of my better mommy moments.
Mommy's trying to prepare for my Christian message.
I need to prepare my heart. So I just went, I said, you go to bed right now. And I got up and I ran up the stairs. And I think I put the fear of God in those boys. Because they just looked at me with these big eyes. And you go to your bed and you go to your bed and don't come out again. And so I went back in and I was so angry, I just kind of slammed my keyboard of my desk and broke it.
Oh, no.
And so now it's 10:30 at night. I haven't written a word, and I'm under the desk trying to fix the keyboard tray. Couldn't get it fixed. I just sat in the chair and I just started crying.
Yeah.
I just started crying. And I put my head down, and then the office door opens, and I didn't look. I didn't even look to see who it was. And all I said was, well, I think I just broke my desk, as with my head down. And it was Andrea. She was 14, 15, something like that. And she said, Mom, can I pray for you?
Oh.
She heard everything that happened.
Oh,
and I
wow.
said to her, I would love it if you would. So she came over, she climbed on my lap, she wrapped her arm around me, and we both cried through her prayer. And she prayed the nicest little prayer that Jesus would be my husband through this, that he would help me with the boys. And it was just so my worst mommy moment turned into one of my best mommy moments.
Right. Yeah.
So don't knock yourself out if you're having those moments, you know, like own it, apologize, learn from it, and move forward. And sometimes God just brings along the best little gift at the end of it.
And that's teaching for them of how when we, you know, mess up and we're going to screw up, but this is how we resolve things is with love and forgiveness, and that's so good. That's so good.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Well, girls, it's always beautiful having you guys here. We love this. And we love having you too. So stay with us. There's more Better Us to come.
A lot of people didn't think our marriage would make it. It's like, what? What in the world? And God hasn't failed us. Through the mountains, through the valleys, rain, sun, He's been there.
For more marriage encouragement, follow A Better Us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And subscribe for your free weekly Marriage Moment email at abetterus.tv.
To have a great relationship, learn what those in great relationships do differently. In my research study for the surprising secrets of highly happy marriages, I identified 12 little things that make a big difference. Here is secret number 11. Instead of holding back just a bit to protect yourself, take the risk of a broken heart or looking like a fool and fully invest in your marriage with no escape hatch. One of the most bogus messages we hear about marriage is that you should protect yourself just a little bit, or that you should keep a little piece of yourself private, you know, like a secret bank account with a little stash on the side, or feelings you keep from your mate but share with some other friend. That way, if it all goes wrong, you have an out, or you retain a piece of yourself emotionally. But the highly happy couples that I surveyed weren't buying it. In fact, in earlier years, many of them had found that that strategy had taken them to the brink of divorce. But everything changed when they decided to risk it all and be all in. They threw everything into the rings, their hearts, their wallets, and especially their hopes, believing that it would pay off. They vowed never to say the D word again. They had no escape hatch. Now, that might seem like a big risk, but as one woman I interviewed said, what is more foolish, taking the risk to trust your spouse and risking the small likelihood that he'll betray you? Or deciding that you're not going to fully trust him and risking the almost certain likelihood that it will build a wall between you and undermine your marriage? When it comes to marriage, you truly get what you give. We get so much more when we avoid the temptation to protect ourselves and instead give our spouses our all.
We're ready.
listen more?
Yeah, again, for me, it's the listening thing.
And of course, James, the book of James, chapter 1, verse 19, tells us that we should be quick to hear and slow to speak.
I know we talked about this.
For me,
Yeah.
because drawing a blank.
Because I'm perfect. Like, what could I
There's
change?
nothing. She's flawless. For me, it would just be to do all the things.
If I can take out being emotional in my immediate, as a form of my immediate response when things happen, I think that would make our marriage just a little bit better.
And so I had to learn that. I'm an African man, and you know how we are, right? We're loud and want to just, as it is too, we're quick to put up walls. So if she doesn't agree with me, it's like, you're not agreeing with me? What's going on here? And I had to just learn that.
Oftentimes we look at our spouse changing and we know all kinds of ways they need to change, but we don't often look at and realize what it means for us to change ourselves.
Being able to understand that my commitments and my set of boundaries is also my family's boundaries now. So like I would often overcommit and think I could do everything and pull an all-nighter and fit everything in, but that now it's not just me doing that. And like when I'm doing it, it's, Kevin coming to my rescue to be like, oh, okay, let's put up these party decorations for this last minute thing, or like, and what that kind of change in a mindset is to like balance what everybody's needs are.
I think I have really high expectations, as I've mentioned a few times, but if I came across a little bit more like, hey, thanks for doing this, instead of finding the fault, I'm sure a lot more of the little things would actually get done.
It's true. It's very, very true.
Very important.
So important.
Crazy important.
Yeah. God, if you don't have God in your marriage,
wow,
your marriage is in jeopardy.
My dad always says this to us. He's like, a grateful heart is a protected heart. And it's one of those things that we've really at times had to work at, but then seen the fruit of that, like our gratitude with God and bringing him in and being able to pray about, when we're not on the same page of something, or really pursuing something that we are on, like how much he partners with us and gives us the capacity and has gone ahead of us to be able to, bless our marriage and build us stronger and keep us together and like walking in line with that. And yeah, so God's been the center of it.
It has been a really challenging 15 years.
Yeah. That's accurate.
Yeah, just different seasons brought its own trial. And I think most recently we've had a lot of trials and a lot of things that we've had to work through.
Yeah.
Just through life, having young kids, moving across the country, career changes, a pandemic, and we've seen God with us even though it's not been easy. We've seen him provide for us, protect us. And so, yeah, without that, I don't know if we would have made it.
I can't even imagine
Without
any life, not even marriage, any life without God. I think it was in the 80s, late 80s. A lot of people didn't think our marriage would make it. It's like, what? What in the world?
Yeah.
And God hasn't failed us. Through the mountains, through the valleys, rain, sun, he's been there.
Without God, how?
Yeah.
How? We just don't know how.
Yeah.
Hey friends, Ron and Ann here. We're so glad you're with us at A Better Us, and we pray your marriage is blessed as you take this in.
Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and enjoy this video.
Today's program was all about our families, from being all in with your marriage to not losing it with your kids. Right. None of it is easy.
Maybe that's because those closest to us usually demand the most from us, and we have to be in the right head and heart space to give it.
You might be surprised to know that the Bible has a lot to say about the intersection of our heads and our hearts. It's called our souls. And we're not alone when we have to give our souls a pep talk.
Right. We find in Psalm 42, "My soul, why are you so downcast? Put your hope in God." Psalm 62, "My soul, find your rest in God." Or Psalm 94 says, "When anxiety overtakes me, your comfort lightens my soul."
Sometimes we just need to press pause and then press in to the one who gives us peace. And that's the source of peace, Jesus.
In the book of John, Jesus encourages us to let his perfect peace calm us in every circumstance and give us courage and strength for every challenge.
Because when it comes to marriage and raising kids, we know there can be lots of challenges, and our definite need for divine intervention can be pretty obvious. It all starts with inviting Jesus in, giving him your mess, and receiving his forgiveness and peace. He's there, just waiting for you to open up your heart to him.
If you'd like to talk further about that or have someone pray with you about whatever it is you're going through, the phone number on the screen is our prayer line, and it's available 24 hours a day. It could be the best phone call you'll ever make.
That is so true. Yeah. Thanks again for being with us today, and remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us.
Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.